Today is November 1st, 2019. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Danny Fugate in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
December 2nd, 1974,
December 2nd, 19. And where were you born?
here in Bartlesville.
Okay. Who is your father?
Clyde.
Clyde Fugate. And your mother?
My mother was Connie
What was her maiden name?
Cook.
Cook. Okay. You go through school in Bartlesville?
Yes, sir.
Graduated what year?
Walked in 94, was shot in English credit. Finished that up in 96, excuse me.
Okay. So you walked in 94 and
I always tell everybody officially it was 94 because that's when I officially
Okay,
graduated,
that's
but I
fine.
was shy of the English credit and didn't complete it until
that's fine,
96.
that's fine. Who was your favorite teacher?
Well, through elementary school, it was Mrs. Watson, and then I had an English teacher named Randolph.
Okay. And was it Bartlesville High at that time?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I do believe it was my third or fourth grade year they had combined the high schools into one,
Okay. Yes. Okay.
where we had the mid-high and then the high school.
Okay. What did you do for recreation in high school?
I was a martial artist.
You were.
Yes.
What, at the high school or where?
A friend of mine was doing private classes out of his garage.
Okay.
So
Did you teach martial arts or just?
throughout the years, I mean, I'm still involved in the martial arts. So throughout the years, I've taught a few underneath him, but as far as actually being licensed to teach by myself, I've not gotten that high up yet.
Okay. What did you do after high school?
Right out of high school, that was, let's see, 94 was, the reason why it took me from 94 to 96 to complete that English credit was that was when Central was getting redone up again. And so I got on the demolition crew to do some demo work over there and then got on the plumbing crew from there.
Okay.
Did that, did a few other construction jobs after 96, and then got into some culinary work, then got into retail. From retail, that's when I went to the military.
Okay. Where in retail?
I started off at Atwood's.
Okay.
Worked my way up there a little bit. Went over to Walmart. Again, worked my way up there a little bit, and then moved over to Dillard's. And then from Dillard's, that's when the Army recruiter came
Okay.
in. So,
So when did you join the Army?
I think it was officially in July of, I want to say 2000.
Okay. Where'd you go for your basic training?
Fort Sill.
Fort Sill. Tell me about basic.
What do you want to know about basic?
What type of training did you have?
You first get there, they rush you off the bus, you get all your equipment. Well, when you first get there, they rush you off the bus, and it's real late at night, and you're going through, not MEPS, can't think what they call it now. It's where you're kind of being transitioned from civilian world to basic training. They're going through, making sure you get all your paperwork done, everything like that. They get you your couple of changes of clothes. They lock down all your civilian stuff. The next day you're getting your shots. I mean, it's just constant rush. Get there, stand in line, go through the line, go to the next station. You're getting all your stuff. And then when you go to basic, you get on the bus. They ship you over to the basic side, training side of the post. And there it's, at the beginning, it's just like it was before. It's hurry up, get your gear, get out, get on the bus. It's hot, so they want you to drink plenty of water. They're forcing you to drink water to the point to where you're almost puking. But it's hot out, so if you don't, now looking back, I can see why a lot of this stuff was done, but then you're just like, why are we doing this? You get out on the drill pad. I had all Rangers and all guys. It was one of the last guy. They told us it was one of the last all guy basic training units at Fort Sill. We had all Rangers, and they looked at us and said they were going to give us a taste of Ranger School. And my first thought was, what in the world did I sign up for? I was looking for something easy to see if I liked the military, not jump into something hard right away. And I got to choose Fort Sill. And I chose Fort Sill because it was close to home, because I knew my family would want to be there for my graduation, basic training graduation. They're making sure you got all your gear that first day. You go up to the barracks, you pick out your bunk, and then you go back downstairs, and that's when training starts, and it's constant. The first 3 weeks, you're constantly being yelled at, constantly being pushed, constantly being, not pushed like physically pushed, but mentally. They're trying to break you. And once they get you broke, then they're building you back up, and they're breaking your civilian life and turning you into a soldier, and that's what their job is to do. Again, you don't realize that's what they're doing until after it's all done, and you're looking back at it. Then you move. Oh, that's when you also got to go through that gas chamber. That was horrible. If they had told me about the gas chamber, I said, nope, I ain't doing it.
Why was it horrible?
Well, it's called CS gas in the military. Here in the civilian world, it's tear gas. And there in the gas chamber, they're cooking it. So it's actually the little gas powder, and they're putting it in the little burner. So it's like more intense than it would be if say, you were to just be dropped a grenade and be standing there next to the grenade. And so you walk in, and of course your skin's on fire. It feels like, but it's really not. It's just the gas. And then they want you to break the seal and put that back on, and that's so that you can see that the mask is actually working. And to learn how to clear the mask, because in the field you're not, they tell you in the field you're not going to get this. You're going to be walking around and you're getting your chem suit, and all of a sudden they're going to gas you. No. They're going to gas you, and then you got to put your chem suit on, and so you got to be able to clear that gas, and that's the purpose of that. Yeah. And then they make you take the mask off, and from what everybody else told me, they said to say was their name, their rank, their serial numbers, or their social securities at the time, and then that was it. They got to leave. We were getting that Ranger School training. So we had to say our name, our rank, our platoon motto, and our platoon mascot, and what platoon we was actually in before they'd let us leave. Well, by the time you get out, there's no holding your breath. That's a big mistake. And so, of course, when you take that breath in, there's just nothing but gas is all you're taking in, and then they throw you outside. I tell you what, your sinuses is cleared for about a week. They just fed you an MRE, so that's coming back up. Your sinuses are draining, your eyes are burning, your skin's on fire. They say it's as close to death as you can get. I think third was right. Then they move you over to the rifle range. They do a lot of dry fire exercises before you even, so you're not even, you're just going through the motions. I remember one time they hollered my name, and I turned around and wasn't thinking, and I took the rifle away from the range, and they grabbed the hold of the rifle, and I didn't know a Kevlar could ring. And of course, they're not supposed to hit you, but they say, "Oh, we're just giving you love taps."
You go on bivouac?
Huh?
You go on bivouac?
Bivouac.
You go out and camp out at the rifle
Oh
range?
yeah, we did that. Yep. No, we did that in the field for 3 days straight.
Oh.
For 3 days straight.
What'd you do out in the field?
Oh, out in the field, it was like a camp out at first. You know, you're setting up a little tent, and then you dig your foxholes. So it was like a camp out with a foxhole you had to dig. But then, you know, they kept you going all day long with activities. Well, then at night, you have to man your foxhole because they're constantly laying fire down on you. Mock fire, but it's still, you know, you're being fired upon all night. So you didn't get no sleep that night. And then the next day, they put you on patrol. I was one of the unfortunate ones to take a mock hit during a patrol, and the whole platoon retreated and left us wounded behind, which when we got back from that, they were getting smoked, as they call it. When there's,
How do you take a mock hit?
you got this fancy laser, I call it fancy laser tag system on. It's like a kind of like a, it's pretty much like a laser tag game, you know. And if it, when the machine, the laser on the rifle hits your vest, then it goes off, and you're supposed to act like you've been hit.
Yeah.
And then in your pocket, you've got a card that says where you've been hit, or whether you're KIA. And so we got briefly questioned, as we briefly became prisoners of war, you know, not officially, but briefly. And so we were questioned a little bit, and before we were released, you know, to make sure that none of us would say anything, you know, a little extra training that we weren't expecting that we were going to get. But like I said, when we got back, I noticed that the guys that left us behind were getting smoked, or extra exercises, as they call it. They call it smoked.
Because they left you behind.
Because they left us behind. They were supposed to leave the wounded behind. But we did get kind of lost a little bit. And we ran into another platoon. And we found out that 5 of us guys could take out a whole platoon.
How'd you do that?
We kind of laid down in the brush, and then we tagged the guy who was running the machine gun on both sides, and then we just kind of laid there and kept kept shooting at these guys until they ran and got to where they just kind of charged us, and it went to hand-to-hand combat. And with my martial art training and another guy's martial art training, I wound up with a broken finger, but it was nice to know, you know, you could take out a whole, you know, 5 of us guys took out a whole 50 guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of a bragging right there, you know.
How long did basic last?
It was supposed to last 9 weeks, but we had what they called a dead week. So that was 10 weeks there, and then we had...
What's a dead week?
It's a dead week is where you show up and you're waiting on everybody else to show up. Mm-hmm. So we were like the first ones to show up, and so we're waiting on everybody else to show up that was supposed to be in our unit. So they called it a dead week. And dead week, they kept us busy doing things like yard work. We got to go off post and walk the highway. There's a highway that runs right through the middle of Fort Sill. And so we got to clean up the highway a little bit, just do some different activities that were not military related, but still not training related. We did had a couple of Blackhawks actually was doing some medevac training, and they hit a bird. I remember one of them hit a bird and they crashed. They came back down. They didn't go up very high before they had to bring it back down, and we had to go out there and guard that. Just stuff like that.
What's your most vivid memory of basic?
I've got several. You want the good ones or the bad ones?
Yes.
We had this one drill sergeant, good memories. Well, let's start with the bad ones and I'll end with the good. We had a guy who accidentally throwed the pin and dropped the grenade and blew himself up, and that was right in the bunker right beside me. The wind direction blew the blood and the guts and the shrapnel on top of me. In fact, they thought I was injured when I come down off the hill. I was getting surrounded by medics, and it was so bad I looked like I got buckshot on my Kevlar cover, my helmet cover. But yeah, they actually even had me change my Kevlar cover out. And then I had another guy during the live fire exercise. I had just completed the obstacle course, and we were watching the other guys go through and they were getting the 50 cals are designed to shoot over the top of your head, and you're supposed to stay down. And they tell you don't stand up. And a guy, it looked like he was struggling trying to get over this wall you're supposed to kind of crawl over the top of, and he stood up and took a hit to the head. So we lost 2 guys in our basic training unit. And then during one of the other obstacle courses, there's this mud hole, and there's razor wire above it, and as long as you dive down low enough and crawl down in, you're pretty safe. It's about the safest obstacle you can actually get into, even though it looks dangerous.
Yeah.
But he didn't dive down low enough and bounced his head off that razor wire. Took 25 stitches to the forehead. It literally watched his head just peel off the bottom. And there wasn't nothing he could do. He was in the middle of the mud hole, so they literally had to crawl out with blood dripping down his face. Good memories. Looking back on it now, then you look at it and you're like, well, what in the world are we doing this stuff for? Mm-hmm. And looking back on it now, it's preparing you for the challenges that you have to face when you're in your station assignment, or when you go overseas, or when you're in actual combat scenarios. That's what its purpose is to teach you to survive some of this stuff. And being in the civilian world, I can work out in the heat now, and I know what to look for to keep myself from passing out from dehydration, because of my military training. And then I had some awesome drill sergeants. They would look at us and tell us that there's nothing that they're going to ask us to do that they wouldn't go through themselves. And they were right there beside us. They were in the mud. They were in the muck. They were up all night with us. They were walking in the field, or they were doing that 30-mile march with us. They were there with us the whole time. So.
And those are the good memories.
Those are the good memories.
Yes.
when you got the people that are telling you what to do are right there beside you doing it with you.
On the 30-mile march, what are you carrying on your person?
About 70 pounds of gear. You've got your tent, you got your mat, you've got your sleeping bag, you've got your clothes, your military uniforms that you've got to change into, lots of dry socks. Lots and lots of dry socks. In fact, I would tell anybody that goes in to make sure they constantly keep dry socks on. Get extra dry socks. Mm-hmm. No matter where you're stationed at, keep your feet clean and dry. You got your Kevlar on, you got your weapons on your back. It's loaded with blanks, but it's still fully loaded.
Is that the M16?
Yes, during basic it was M16.
Okay.
Station assignment, I switched over to the SAW.
Okay. So, from Fort Sill, where'd you go?
Fort Sill, I went to AIT, which was Fort Sill, because I was artillery.
Artillery?
So, and like I said, my main job in artillery was to be basically a human GPS. So if I pinpointed a location on the ground, I'd put a pin dot in the ground and say, this is where we're at. I'd put a dime over that pin dot, and that was my radius. That was my radius.
Okay.
As far as where we were at,
okay,
plus or minus.
How did AIT compare to basic?
AIT is like college. You got more freedom. They get weekend passes. You get weekend passes where you just go. During the weekends, there's no training whatsoever. You don't even do your PT during Saturday and Sunday. Monday, you get up, you go to the PT field, you go eat breakfast, you go to school.
What guns did you have?
What weapons did I have in AIT? None really.
I mean, what guns? 105, 155? in the artillery?
Oh, in the artillery, like I said, I was trained. I was being taught what they call survey. It's just a human GPS. So as far as actually doing any of that, there was none of that.
Okay, okay.
It wasn't until I got into my station assignment that they started showing me some of that other stuff.
So you were identifying the targets?
I was identifying the locations as far as where they were going to be firing from.
Okay. But they didn't actually fire an AIT?
We never had artillery fire going on in AIT.
Okay, okay,
Because of our job was, like I said, basically, we never even spent any time in the field
okay,
in AIT.
okay.
So it was a lot of math. It's a lot of math, a lot of knowing the stars, studying the sun, which is great now because like I hunt too. So
Oh, yeah.
I hunt.
Now, do you have to take in consideration the wind direction when you're doing this?
We don't. That's their job
Okay,
to take in wind consideration
Okay.
because we're basically, like I said, we're basically putting a stake in the ground, and that stake tells you exactly where you're at on the ground. So it's very close to human survey work,
okay.
or civilian survey work.
Yeah. How long AIT last?
That lasted a little longer. That was supposed to be 10 weeks, but I got recycled through because I was on a run and I slipped a disc out, and I was down for a few weeks and couldn't even go to school. They didn't even want me going to school.
Okay.
So I was out for a couple of weeks, which caused me to have to recycle back through.
Okay. Now, what's your most vivid memory of AIT?
Getting drunk a lot. Like I said, it's like school, it's like college. So the weekends was partying.
You go to the NCO club or off post?
We had both.
Both.
Both. The NCO club, I was there until I got kicked out of that. I didn't know you can get kicked out of a bar until then. And then you weren't supposed to be off post, but a lot of guys would put civvies on, or change, or put civvies in their bag. Go to the PX, get some civvies. You weren't allowed to have your personal belongings, so you go to the PX, get you some civvies, keep them in your rucksack.
Yeah.
And keep your rucksack. And then put your PTs on top of that. So if they ask where you're going, you open up your rucksack. I'm going to the gym, and close your rucksack out, and they let you go.
Yeah.
And then I would go to the different bars and clubs that I didn't think my drill sergeants was going to be at, just to keep from getting in trouble. And the only time I ever got caught was I thought I was running late, and I thought, man, I'm gonna run upstairs real quick. They're downstairs in the office. And one of the drill sergeants was actually upstairs coming down as I was going up. And I immediately stopped. And I didn't even tell him the lie. I told him the truth, because he asked. And it cost me 14 days of what they call extra duty.
Oh. Okay.
But they was all nice. I mean, they let me finish my homework at night and all that. So I got a little extra time to do my homework.
Oh, yeah. So from after AIT, where'd you go?
My first station assignment was Fort Sill. So I was there for a while. I was like, good grief, I'm never going to leave Fort Sill.
So what'd you do with that?
I was attached to a multiple rocket launching system. There's a unit at the time.
Were you assigned to a unit?
Yeah. Then?
Yeah.
112th Battalion, I think.
112th Battalion of...
Or 212 Battalion. I'd have to look at my unit crest patch again. I don't recall. I
Okay.
apologize.
No problem.
They no longer exist. They got disbanded.
Okay. So what'd you do in the unit?
Well, in there, it's more like getting up and going to work every day, like it is a regular job. At first, kind of getting to know everything and everybody. So you get up, you do your PT, you go back to the barracks, change, go to the chow hall, get you something to eat, and report back to the motor pool. From there on Mondays, we would check our vehicles out, make sure our vehicles are Humvees. I was assigned a Humvee with all the computer systems in it to do all that mathematics that I learned how to do. So we didn't have to do none of that mathematics and accidentally make a mistake. I mean, they really seriously was picky on accuracy, which is understandable. We're firing miles away, and it's not like a rifle. You're off a little bit from where you think you're standing, and you're going to miss the target. You're still going to hit the target. When you're shooting miles away, if you're off from where you think you are, you're going to miss the target completely. And we didn't want it. The last thing you want to do is find out you hit a school full of kids or a hospital full of sick
So you
people.
had live fire.
At that point, we would spend on post. We didn't do. We would do hardly anything. We'd get up, check our vehicles, make sure our vehicles were working. If we had any problems with our vehicles, we'd pull them into the shop, and mechanics would say, which is I don't even know why they even call them mechanics, because they would tell us what to do, and we would fix them. And then we'd pull it back out, and then just do whatever paperwork needed to be done. And at the end of the day, we would go back to the barracks, and the rest of the day was ours to do what we wanted. As you kind of got to know people and they got to trusting you a little bit, then you realized why you couldn't find anybody after a certain period of time, because what we was doing is we would check our vehicles on Monday and then spend the rest of the week kind of disappearing.
Where'd you go?
Go up to the barracks, take your top off, sit down and play video games, real quiet like, and then when they would if they did room inspections, you would put the deadbolt on the door, and then they'd knock on the door because they couldn't get in with the key at that point. Then you'd get up and you would answer the door with your pants unbuckled a little bit, and it made it look like you was in the latrine. And so you say, "Oh, I was in the latrine." And I'd say, "Okay, well, get your stuff and get out of here. You're finished." And so then we had a wildlife reserve out there, and so we'd drive around the wildlife reserve a lot. There were times we'd just go to a fast food restaurant and eat. I mean, we just kind of kill time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you were there how long?
Most of my military career. I spent a little time at Fort Bliss from there, and then when the towers dropped, we were deployed over to Iraq.
Okay. What'd you do at Fort Bliss?
At Fort Bliss, we spent a lot of time on the training side of things, doing a lot of training.
Okay. Live fire at Fort Bliss?
Yes.
What were you firing?
We was firing the MLRS units.
Okay.
So we was
How
doing a
many
lot of that.
rockets in the MLRS?
They can hold anywhere from 2, which if you see 2 in there, you want to clear out a whole entire square block or square mile per rocket. Or they can hold, give me just a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 16.
16.
16 is the average, is what they hold each
What kind
launcher.
of fuses they have on those things?
It's all computer control.
It's all computer control.
It's all computer
What about the
control.
explosive on there? What kind of explosive is it?
I never even thought to even bother to ask, to
Okay.
be honest with you.
Okay. So where were you when the towers came down?
Where was I at when the towers went down? I think I was home on leave.
When you saw that, what'd you think?
Oh, my first thought was, well, when I was home on leave. I was in bed asleep, actually, when the first one dropped, and a friend of mine, or my grandmother, I'll spit this out right here in a minute, came in to wake me up. I was raised by my grandparents, by the way, and my grandmother came in and woke me up and told me what was going down, and I was like, "No, grandmother, you're just seeing some movie on TV, and it's fake." And I rolled over and went back to sleep, didn't even think anything of it. And then she came in, she says, "Tell me about the second one," and I got up and went in there, and I thought, the first thought to my mind was, well, I've got to go back. My leave just ended. And I looked at her, I said, "I don't know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, or if I'm going to be able to contact you for a while."
Yeah. Now, were you based at Fort Sill at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we were at Fort Sill at the time.
So you get back to Fort Sill, what happens?
Get back to Fort Sill. Things are kind of chaotic still. as far as what's going on, who's going to do what, and nobody's able to give us any real information. We're a rapidly deployed unit anyway, which means we've got 12 hours to be able to get our gear ready to rock and roll and be on a plane, ready to fly out wherever we need to go. And I think it was right at the, it wasn't very long after I got back that we finally got the official orders that we were going to gear up and board a plane.
Tell me about being deployed and going to Iraq. How do you get ready to deploy?
You pack up all your military clothing, you pack up all your military gear, which is usually already packed up anyway, except for your clothing anyway. At least that's the way I was, because like I said, we were rapidly deployed and we wanted to be ready in 12 hours, and the last thing I wanted to do was look for a canteen. We did get sent down to get our change of uniforms. We went from green to camo to the original desert camo.
The chocolate chips?
Not this camo, the other one. The one before this one.
Yeah, okay. The desert camos.
Yeah, the desert camos. So they gave us a set of those. Like I said, I already had all my gear ready to rock and roll, except for my uniforms. So then all I had to do was just put my uniforms on, or pack my uniforms away. And then you get in your Humvee, fire it up, give it one last full inspection, make sure everything's running good, go fuel up, and then you take it out to the airstrip, and you follow everybody's instructions. There's a guy on the ground that tells you where to go, what to do, and you're driving up on the airplane, into the airplane.
What airplane were you on?
One of them not one of the propeller ones, the jet ones, the newer jet ones.
With the C5, C5A, the Starlifter, the big one?
Yeah, the big ones.
That's a C5.
Yeah, C5.
Yeah.
And you'd get out of the vehicle, they would strap it down, and then you would sit literally like I'm sitting next or across from you from your Humvee.
Yeah.
They give you a set of earplugs, and you just sit there and wait. And it's not long before you take off, and you know you're in there. You can feel there's no windows. It's not like it's completely enclosed aircraft. There's no windows to look out or nothing. And you try to make yourself comfortable because you're going to be on that plane for several hours.
When you were taking off, what were you thinking?
Am I going to see my family again? Are we even going to be able to land? There's been times when you hear these stories in the past of aircraft that were taking off and was hit with anti-aircraft guns and didn't even make it. So it was like, are we going to be able to land, or am I going to see my family again? Stuff like that.
So how did you pass the time on the trip?
Sleep. The best you can.
And you landed where?
I didn't even think to even bother to ask where I was at at that point in the game.
Did you land in Arabia or in Iraq?
We was actually in Iraq.
Okay.
When we landed. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
So
what'd you do in Iraq? Were you still with the same unit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. From there, we just we set up our camp, got things ready to rock and roll, set up radio communications, stuff like that, just basic stuff that needed to be done. That first couple of days, and then we were sent out to do survey work. We were sent out to do some survey work. We did a few flanks. At this point, like I said, I'm carrying a saw,
And what's a saw?
Squad assault weapon. It was the replacement of the M60.
Okay. M60?
Yeah, it replaced the M60.
Okay.
It shoots the same ammunition as the M16. And if you run across somebody who's down and they've got a whole bunch of M16 clips, they'll actually convert from belt to clip fed,
Okay.
which you don't want to do.
So we replaced the M16.
No, the M4 replaced the M16. The SAW replaced the M60.
That's a 50 caliber.
It was just a little under the 50 caliber, if
Okay.
I remember right. The
Okay.
M60 was.
Okay.
That was your era, the M60.
yeah.
No offense, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what caliber the M60 was.
Well,
I
I'm
never
an
had to
old
fire
guy.
one.
So what did you do in Iraq?
Basically, survey work mainly. I would pinpoint a location, and then you would dig in a foxhole, and you would sit there and wait. You would kind of put your Humvee in a hidey hole to where they can't, if somebody were to come up on you, you wouldn't see it. And if that area became hot, you evacuated out, unless it was like, maybe 5 or 6 targets, that you could take out. But our main objective was just to, if the area became hot, you pulled out and radioed back that the area became hot, so that the launchers would not fire in.
Okay.
Or not come in, because they're the only weaponry other than the launchers or the missiles on those vehicles is a 50 cal.
Okay.
So there's not much. If they got ambushed, they would be in a world of hurt. And our job was to make sure that the area didn't become hot, because we were flank firing a lot.
Okay. How did you make sure the area didn't become hot?
You were there. You stayed there.
You stayed, okay.
You stayed there and watched the area.
Did any, what you thought were enemy ever approach the area?
We had one time come in.
Who was he?
A whole group of enemy targets came in at us.
What'd you do with him?
We laid down cover fire and pulled out. That back injury that happened when I was in AIT happened again, and this time it was worse. And so they left me at the camp for a while, and that's how I got sent home.
Okay.
So.
How long were you in Iraq before you were sent home?
Not very long, a few months.
Okay. Were you in northern Iraq, southern Iraq, or what part of Iraq were you located?
I'm not familiar with that area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't study that area too. I didn't want to be there to begin with.
So tell me about coming home. How'd they get you home?
Pretty much the same way, cargo plane.
Okay.
So.
And did they do anything to you because your back was hurt, or?
I was doped up pretty good.
Okay.
On pain medications and stuff like that. So.
And you landed where?
Back at Fort Sill.
Okay.
Is where I wound up, final destination.
Okay. And what they do with you at Fort Sill?
Didn't give me a desk, but they pretty much made me a messenger between high-ranking generals.
So how did you deliver these messages?
Literally take a piece of paper and just hand it to them.
Yeah.
Stuff that was classified so much that they didn't want it being communicated over the air.
Okay. Okay.
So it would be hand delivered.
Now, did you have a secret clearance to do this?
I say what?
Did you have a secret clearance to do this?
Yes, they gave me a high classified.
Okay. Okay. And how long were you a messenger person?
For about a month before my final discharge.
Okay.
So my contract was due to come up to an end. So instead of.
And when were you discharged?
3 years to the 3 years to the day I actually signed up. So it would have been July. I want to say 2003, maybe, give or take a little.
Yeah. What did you do after you got your discharge?
Nothing. Nothing for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Then I went to work in a nursing home. Trying to help people.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't pan out very well.
Was that here in Bartlesville?
It was up in Dewey at
Okay.
Forest Manor.
Okay.
After I left that, then I got into IT, did IT for several years,
What's IT?
computers.
Okay.
Which I tell everybody, if I'd known I'd have gotten into computers, I would have went to the Navy instead of the Army.
And so what are you doing now?
Right now, IT, I'm kind of tired of IT work, so I went into farming.
Okay.
So I own and operate a small vegetable farm, and I'm working at United Linen.
Okay. Okay. Would you join the Army again?
Oh, in a heartbeat. I'd actually thought about doing it again.
Yeah. I'd like
Not
to do
too
a
long
word
ago.
association. I'll give you some words and you give me a reaction. The first one is basic training.
Fort Sill.
Gas chamber.
Yuck. Just plain old yuck.
Yeah. Obstacle course.
Actually fun.
AIT.
College. Military college.
MLRS.
Job.
Twin Towers.
Wait a minute, MLRS?
Yeah.
Multiple rocket launching systems. Yeah. Job.
Yeah. Twin Towers.
Heartache.
Iraq.
War.
George Bush.
President.
How do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? You know, if I go down, I was military. They broke me. You know, like I said, they broke me. That was their job, to break me and turn me into a soldier. And they kick you out in the civilian world, and they don't take you back to a civilian. So you're still military. And a soldier wants to always be remembered as a hero.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Nah.
Well, sir, this excellent interview.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Thank you, thank you.
And again, this is November 1st, 2019. This has been an interview with Danny Fugate in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Thank you.